I've got a stack of IEMs here at the moment that all sit between the high $200 mark and the $400 mark. And so rather than doing a series of separate reviews where they'd inevitably get compared to exactly the same IEMs and or each other, I thought instead of that, I'm going to do a different sort of approach this time. And what that means is that over the next 4 days, there's going to be a rapid fire release of 4 different IEM reviews. Each of these is going to be quite short, as you'll have already seen on the timestamp for this video. And so what that means is that I can quickly run through kind of the pros and cons, the benefits, the drawbacks of each IEM. And then by the end of the 4 videos, you can work out which one might be best for you. And I'll finish off with a comparison of what I think is the best of these 4 up against the Mangold Zen's top, which is more expensive again, but a good benchmark to see just how good some of these are. So you know what to expect. We're going to start off today with the Sivga Nightingale IEM. I've then got the T-Audio Hype 2 IEM coming after that. That will be followed by the Simgot EA2000, and then we're going to finish things off with the Yanyan Canon 2. And I'm going to start off by telling you that there's a few hits and a few misses in this batch of 4, so let's jump in and start with the Sivga Nightingale. The Nightingale comes in with a price tag of $279, and it's a planar magnetic IEM using a double-sided magnet array apparently. Now that doesn't necessarily mean it's better or worse than others that might use a single-sided magnet array, but it's something they've called out in the marketing, and it's pretty interesting that they've managed to wedge a double-sided magnet planar array into a tiny IEM like this. The other things to tell you about the Sivga Nightingale is that they look really, really lovely. On the outside, they've got this beautiful faceplate that it might be timber, it might be fake timber, it might even be meant to look like, say, a tiger's eye crystal type of finish, but beyond that, it does look lovely. Behind the faceplate, it's reminiscent of the 7Hz Timeless in that the faceplate is actually not the same shape as the shell behind it, and I don't normally necessarily like that design. It's not bad, but it becomes a bit of a space for dust and dirt to catch, so I don't like that so much. But the good news is that the shell itself is very compact. We've then got a decent sized nozzle. You get a lovely set of tips with these. You get something similar to a Sony hybrid tip, if you're familiar with the old Sony hybrids, and then you also get some regular silicon tips too. In normal Sivga and Sendy fashion, the cable's lovely as well. It's the kind of braided cable that we're used to seeing from them. In this case, it's terminated in a 4.4mm. I haven't checked to see if there's different options available, but if 4.4 is the standard, that's fantastic. And then beyond that, it all comes down to the listening. As I said, I'm not going to drag these out unnecessarily. I'm going to cut to the chase, tell you how it sounds, and then you can watch the next review to see how it starts to stack up. And by pure coincidence, we've begun with possibly the most unique IEM in this bunch. These have a very distinct and seemingly very deliberate tuning that's all focused on mid-range, for better or worse. What that means is that the bass from the Nightingales is significantly rolled off, and it does occasionally make them sound just a little bit boxy on certain recordings. It's not a consistent issue, and it does only seem to happen on some recordings, but do be aware of that. They can sound just a little bit too mid-range focused, and therefore a touch boxy sometimes. At the other end of the range in the treble, there is a little bit of a treble spike, but it's been very, very well managed, so it creates a bit of sparkle and a bit of clarity without ever getting harsh or difficult to listen to. And so what you'll find if you listen to a pair of Nightingales is that they're very much about a mid-range, detail, and clarity-focused IEM, but they're very easy to listen to. They're not a hard listen, they're not harsh, they don't get dry or overly textural. They're quite a nice listen for the specific tuning they have, and that's a very mid-range focused tuning. Unfortunately, what that also means is that they're deeply uninspiring on any sort of track that requires deep bass. They don't really have any bass presence to speak of. There is bass there, but it's just not in balance with everything else. It's significantly rolled off. It doesn't have any impact or presence to really talk about. And so what that means is that these can be a very enjoyable IEM for genres and tracks that only need a mid-range focus. And what that means is that if you're listening to acoustic albums, acoustic genres, chamber music, for instance, sounds lovely on them. A track such as Ryan Adams' cover of Blank Space by Taylor Swift, that sounded lovely on them as well. So tracks where you've got a vocalist and a guitar, or maybe you've just got pure instruments that are all acoustic, as in no vocals, that's where the Sivga Nightingale can sound really good, but I wouldn't think about it as an IEM that spans multiple genres, unless they all happen to be very acoustic genres. It's more of a dedicated or specific listening choice for those albums that are really going to benefit from a focus on mid-range detail. And so with that in mind, I'm actually not going to spend a lot of time comparing these, contrasting these with other IEMs, because they don't really compare to anything else that I've ever heard. And that's both good and bad. It's bad in the sense that I don't think they're a full range enough, sort of widely applicable IEM for a lot of people. But on the good side of things, they are very unique. I think what they do in terms of their mid-range focus, they do very, very well. They pull out mid-range details very nicely. They help you focus on things like vocals and acoustic instrumentals such as guitars very, very nicely. But just don't go for these if you want any sense of depth in the bass, or if you want them to sound tonally accurate across a wide range of genres. They're a dedicated, mid-range listening, vocal and acoustic style earphone. They sound quite good on a lot of classical and chamber type music, but they will fall down if you're looking for the full range impact of an orchestra where there needs to be bass as well. So as I said, I'm going to keep this one really short. I'm probably not going to refer back to the Sivga Nightingales. I think they're nice for what they are, but I don't think they stack up against anything else that I'm going to be talking about in the next 3 videos. So hopefully you found this quick snapshot of the Sivga Nightingales helpful, useful and interesting. If you have, make sure you hit the like button. And of course, if you want to hear what I think about the other IEMs coming up, make sure you hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and I'll see you here again tomorrow on Passion for Sound.